what a lip is. A lip from hell. Oh yeah, and having an Olympic grade thing. There's a grade system, like for a military grade, a medical grade. Medical grade is better because military grade, they're trying to get a budget passed always. So their stuff will be of cheaper quality if you have the choice between the two. But no, for all namesake, making something equivalent to what the Federal Reserve is, not to take power out from them, but show them that we the people have a powerhouse. I think that would solve half the problems and be able to reach across the aisle and have them say, hey, you know, I think our debt at this trillion BS with trillions of fake dollars put in the system to make our jobs look good. There are a bunch of hacks with stolen property. So yeah, if I want to invent a grade system and call it like an Olympic grade, I'd have like these lips from hell. None of these things really add up with these lips. It's where I want 2 blocks next to each other. When I say blocks, these things are literally like not industrial grade because they're of sporting. So I would call it an Olympic grade. It's a step up from subpar, but it's just par for the course. I don't know, one guy told me on the bike trail or the bike side of the lane that, oh shit, this guy just got triggered. See, when you pull your camera out, that's when you know someone gets triggered. You can't be on the bike lane if you have a skateboard, because if that pops out, which I've had a skateboard pop out and me bleed all over the curb before, so I can attest it being a thing. But this guy who got triggered and now he's on the curb is something beyond belief. But back to the skateboards, they're not to be on this bike lane right here. Because if at any point in time they hit, like what happened in my case, a metal siding. And I found this metal siding on a bridge, and I don't know what it was for. It's the post I made to Chris Page, my old neighbor, that when we had our neighborhood in New England having the ditches dug up and installing pipes for drainage systems, it took so long, and everyone, it was almost if they had to go through and sign petitions. Hey, watch that curb. Saw trash cans on this curb and I had to dodge them. Now I gotta dodge this a-hole. But it was these, the public works, it took so long to do, and everyone was having to sign the paper if they're willing to have their front yard dug up and have this drain system put in. It's like when one bad apple ruins it for everyone. If one person didn't want a drainage system put in, one person in the neighborhood didn't want the drainage system put in because it's literally their property. And that's how you have to look at things when it comes to outside, because in not drainage systems putting in your front lawn, but having aerosols blown up into your lawn or genetically modified mosquitoes that migrate. Thank Bill Gates for making them in Florida as if they would just stay in one county. So these things, it's the milk that they put. I hear this through the grapevine. A little bird told me, and they do this with birds. So you have this idealism of what bird flu is and influenza. And so since you see bird dung everywhere, excuse my French, you get scared of it. And so you have this idealism with crises, and you have like your reserve and you're like being more secluded to it. And I'm not a therapist, but this is Freudian AF. Call me. And so, because I found my phone, the grapevine, I heard through a little bird told me that milk is having birds mess it up. I'm going to leave it there, but it's that, and then it's this whole thing where the news picks up ticks have acquired this thing. It's not Lyme disease, aside from that, where if they bite you, you throw up anytime you eat red meat. Now, luckily, this didn't grow legs, but believe me, they were putting a mouth on it. And so it's with these things where if the FBI having their visual antis, I don't know what the visual ante is, but you can hold the visual for anything, so why not an ante? Congress, on stairs of Congress with candlelight. I never want to see that again. But this HVAC guy, I just learned HVAC has all to do with aerosols indoors. The flag is a plus. The yeah, but this yeah, so the skateboard, if you get hit or you hit like a metal gap and it flies out from under, you can hit anything with a small wheel on a skateboard and that sucker's flying out. If that board flies out and you hit the deck, screw you hitting the deck, your skateboard might clip a car and scratch it. And so that's why police and spread the word are, because I got told from a civilian pedestrian, what's the difference of the two? Because a migrant and illegal alien are entirely different, and if they don't seek refuge the right way through going through the port of entry, then it's qualified as something different, illegal. So in knowing, spreading the words with what a pedestrian civilian is, you can't ride your skateboard on these paths because the board can go out, flip out, and do damage. But bikes, that's what your bike's made for, and that's why you shouldn't throw your bike, even if you get angry at cars when they're not stopping for you to cross the street. Within efforts to try to make what's real, actual, literal metrics are ran, and when rubber meets the road, audits are passed. If you don't know what an audit is, it's something that someone does in order to F with you, to see if you're doing what you should be. Notably, the Pentagon has failed the last 6 audits, and no one cares about that, but it's whenever the FBI puts out a notice on something, and it's like they put out a notice, there's point blank period, and it's so blatant that whenever they do so, there's going to be an imminent terror attack because the border's open. I mean, anyone could say this, but when they say it first, it's as if they told you first. I didn't even know they're putting out PSAs, and when they do this, it's like this visual, they're being like holding a vigil. In the future, it would be them saying something bad and all ears are up because it's now they're the speakers of the reality's existence themselves, because when crises are so overblown, the government steps in because people aren't as organized, and they would succumb to having the power shut off, having the plumbing go out, and etc., etc. But it's to the point of which I want a shirt, one would say prolific, and then another would be like curbside all-star, prolific curbside all-star, front and back, center, put it however you want it. But the other thing is the FBI, and shit, what was the other thing? Yeah. I want 2 blocks next to each other. When I say blocks, these things are literally like not industrial grade because they're of sporting. So I would call it an Olympic grade. It's a step up from subpar, but it's just par for the course, especially when this wasn't fitting. There was 3 lips, one bigger than the other, so I complemented it with a bigger one on its opposite end, and then now its opposite end was bigger, so then I complemented what was half of it, which this little square foam thing, on its original side. And so now this lip 1, lip 2, lip 3, none of them measured up to have a smooth siding from one end to the other. And so if I'm inventing something, I'm like, I'll buy it myself, I'll get some. But then I just create, what is this? It's not a thing you can buy in a store. This is like an Olympic grade, so I'm making these Olympic grade stuffs. And it's gonna be a shoe-in. Almost as in a shoe-in sale, when a company like Verizon doesn't have to cater to customers. Customers are always right, but they're never ones to be questioned. It's always, that's when you know when their customer service doesn't give a F. It's as if they're pulling audits out their ass, but they're auditing their customers. That's when you know adjuvants and audits, folks.